good, everybody? It's Todd Smith here once again with my boy Dale Clifford from out there in Fernley, Nevada with yet another episode of the No Gimmicks podcast. Dale, what's happening, my man?
Oh, man, Todd, we got a lot going on in the world of professional wrestling this last week.
We
Obviously,
do.
We're in the countdown to SummerSlam, so we got Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live bringing us with some good stuff. We also got NXT, saw a return of a long-awaited Japanese guy, Hideo Itami, the debut debut of Bobby Roode. And then ROH, some big happenings there as they get ready for the there you go, thank you, sir.
Before Dishonor.
lost my train of thought there. But definitely ROH TV had some big happenings as they get ready for Death Before Dishonor. And then Impact Wrestling, we wrapped up the Bound for Glory playoffs, and as again we're getting and obviously they're getting set for Bound for Glory. So a lot of big stuff. We got SummerSlam coming, Death Before Dishonor, and Bound for Glory. So the big three three companies coming at you with three huge events this month. So definitely, yeah,
all on the same weekend.
Yes, except for maybe Bound for Glory. I'm not quite sure what day that one is. But definitely, we know that WWE, NXT, and ROH are all running in consecutive days, the 19th, 20th, and 21st. So that's a huge weekend. And then obviously we can't leave out Impact Wrestling with Bound for Glory. But let's go ahead and get us started with some fighting words from Conor McGregor.
Wow. So this guy, Conor McGregor, who's all of about maybe 75 pounds soaking wet. Am I giving him too much credit, Dale, with the way that I just said? So this guy takes to Twitter and goes to war with a couple wrestlers, one from the WWE, one currently not employed by the WWE out there, I guess kind of semi-retired on the indie circuit, that being Roman Reigns and Kurt Angle, respectively. And this guy has the nerve to call the WWE roster guys, and I'm going to try to clean this up as much as I can for No Gimmicks podcast, as we are a family show, a bunch of wussies, except for we got to replace that W with a P in order to really come through with what he said. Is that not right there, Dale?
Big time shot fired from Conor McGregor to the WWE, and a lot of it has to do with Brock Lesnar, too. Is basically he came out and also said that Brock got himself paid, but that is about it. And then the WWE roster, he would just punch them all in the face, and no questions asked, and leave it at that. And we had Kurt Angle fire back, and we know that Kurt has wanted. Yeah, Kurt Angle we know has wanted to dabble in mixed martial arts. I think he might be a little bit old. He's obviously clearly heavier than Conor. And we also heard from Roman Reigns. We also heard from Roman Reigns. He spoke up, calling Conor a little boy, as I think both guys made reference to that one. And then I know that Bubba Dudley chimed in with some retweets on Kurt Angle stuff. So definitely this is adding some fuel to the fire between UFC and WWE. And I know that right before we started, you had some thoughts on what ultimately could this be leading to.
So here's my take on all of this. Conor McGregor, this guy has a penchant for running his mouth and for being, a proverbial lightning rod and always striking up controversy. This is my 2 cents. Honestly, I think this is leading to a cross-promotional match between him and someone from the WWE at a major show. Now, most likely, it would make sense for WWE to be the ones to promote this because this match has definitely got to be a work. I honestly don't think, with the exception of Brock Lesnar, that anyone is qualified to actually step into the octagon and have a legit, contest in the UFC. And I just think with the UFC being the way it is now compared to the way it was then when they first got the start back in, I think it was probably around the mid to late 90s, there were no weight classes. So you would have someone, say like myself, who's about close to about 6'3", about 275 pounds, up against my buddy Matt Vachinsky. Okay, now you don't know Matt, but Matt is probably not too much, I would say, smaller than Conor McGregor. Okay, that's when there was just different, a different set of rules, different set of regulations. It was a different time. Now, I don't know. Like I said, I think this match could definitely sell. I think they could have Conor, if they want to play this out long enough, all the way up into WrestleMania 33, they could have him up against someone. Who that someone is, I'm not sure, because like I said, I think Angle, as much respect as I have for Kurt Angle, and he has the Olympic pedigree, and the guy definitely is a legit wrestler, I don't think he would match up well against him. And of course, it would be silly to put somebody like Roman Reigns up against him, or someone like Bubba Dudley. And it would be interesting because we have not seen a fight out of him yet. We know that he's going to be stepping into the octagon here pretty soon. What if, by some chance, CM Punk were to step to this guy? I don't know. Would he possibly step up, and speak for, on behalf of the WWE kind of thing? If they were possibly to do a cross-promotional match and possibly have it in a WWE ring,
CM
that's very
Punk
intriguing.
Speaking positive for the WWE, I don't see that happening. However, when I was trying to think of something to where, you could have the ability to market a professional wrestler stepping into the octagon down the line, you could possibly definitely see maybe Conor McGregor versus CM Punk. Obviously, CM Punk's got to prove that he actually can step into an octagon and win
that he belongs, exactly.
And win a fight
exactly
before Conor McGregor ever takes that fight. But you know what, though? Is like, if CM Punk can prove his dues with inside an octagon, I would not be surprised if maybe down the line you could see that in the UFC. CM Punk, though, is I also believe maybe a weight class above. Again, that's one of the things you got to look at.
Okay,
is Conor McGregor is 170 pounds. Is like right now. It's like when he's getting ready for his fight with Nate Diaz. Typically, Conor fights around 145, 155, so even smaller. So we're talking about the freaking cruiserweight division.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, way less than that, because most cruiserweights are closer to about, I'd say probably closer to about 200 pounds at least, right?
But it's like, but that's the closest you're going to get. It's like anybody, it's like the cruiserweights, and those are the smallest of the small when it comes to professional wrestling, and even them, most of them are nearing 190, 200 pounds, as we've seen with the Cruiserweight Classic. Some of these guys are big boys, it's like, and they're, so definitely that's the thing.
Yeah, like that.
That's the thing, is like
that guy Fabian Atner.
Oh yeah,
he comes to mind. He's a big cruiserweight.
Yeah, so it definitely will be interesting to see kind of where this goes. I don't know if it's just Conor spouting off at the mouth, which he likes to do, and now it's on the WWE to try to figure out a way to maybe cash in on this, because obviously they ain't gonna get anybody in the octagon to be able to shut up Conor.
And I'll be perfectly honest with you, there's 3 guys who come to mind, but it kind of contradicts what we were just saying, basically. If you look at the Authors of Pain, Jism Selmani, that's Bellator competitor, but way too big, way out of Conor's weight class. If you look at Jason Jordan from American Alpha, former NCAA champion in mat wrestling. If you look at a guy like Chad Gable might be only the one who even come close to being the same size of this guy. And actually, I think he qualified for the Olympics, but like I said, none of those guys, they fit his weight class. But those would be the only ones who would even come close to having the skill set to be able to step in the octagon with him. The guys who have some legit experience. But yeah, it should definitely be very, very interesting to see how this thing turns out, because I don't think it was just a talking smack back and forth thing. I think there's definitely going to be some cross promotion at UFC and WWE because of this. So moving on to what took place this past week on WWE's flagship show, Monday Night Raw. Couple like memorable moments, including, speaking of Brock Lesnar, the Beast Incarnate. He got RKO'd out of nowhere by Randy Orton, didn't he?
Absolutely. Again, on to this message of Randy Orton trying to prove that just one RKO is all he needs to take out the Beast.
That was a meme right there, man. That was a true RKO out of nowhere, because we didn't even see him in the camera shot. He just came from out of the crowd or something like that, didn't he, to nail him with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Fantastic production job by WWE. Nowhere in sight did we even see Randy Orton, because we had Paul Heyman screaming. We're up on a close shot of Brock Lesnar as Paul Heyman is just screaming that Randy Orton's got no chance ever to RKO Brock Lesnar, and boom, there's the RKO.
Paul Heyman
just fantastic.
Is amazing on the microphone, okay? Whoever came up with the idea to pair Brock up with Paul Heyman, bravo. kudos to you. You can't hear my hands clapping, but I'm giving you a serious round of applause here, because some of the stuff that guy just said was just gold. I mean, the whole, believe the wise, the religious, person that he is, or the religion that he believes in. He also said that Brock is going to beat your ass. I think he said that a couple times. It was just the way he said it. It was just pure comedy. I mean, yeah, I love that pairing there of Brock with Paul Heyman. Just great stuff. Great stuff from them.
Oh yeah, Brock is nothing without a Paul Heyman, and as we've kind of seen, really, Paul's best fit is with Brock Lesnar, because WWE tried to find a couple other Paul Heyman guys, and it just never really worked.
It did not work. It didn't work with Ryback.
Yeah, Paul and Brock just make each other. It was like right now is like Hall of Fame bound. Obviously,
yes,
it's like Brock's wrestling skill speaks for itself. It's like, and he delivers as a one of its kind ability to do what he does in the squared circle. But Paul Heyman also just aids with the mic skills to be able to deliver and make you just absolutely know that Brock Lesnar is the man.
Because I'll tell you one thing for sure. WWE, I bet you their ratings peaked when he was out there with Brock. Even if people had, possibly turned into another channel or something like that to check something else out on another network, when Brock and Paul were out there, all eyes were on them.
Yep, Brock is the money maker. It's the reason why UFC was willing to, after 5 years, to bring him back. The dude just is. He's TV. People want to tune in and see what he's going to do. It's like, so definitely big things there. And also, so we have the cross-promotion match between Raw and SmackDown Live that is going to feature Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton. But Monday Night Raw now also has to decide who is going to be their standard bearer, the guy going forward that's going to carry their championship into the future. And then we even have the new championship, which is the WWE Universal Championship. So we had a confrontation between Finn Balor and Seth Rollins. Both men absolutely solid performances on the mic. Definitely a good definitely a good sign,
especially
from Finn, because he's the guy that has to again continue to get over to the main roster. Everybody Rollins he was the number one draft. He was the number one draft pick. Obviously, he is the considered future of the business. But you know what though? I think this match is the match to decide who is going to be the guy going forward for WWE.
I absolutely agree, 100%, Dale. And this was good stuff here. I'm talking about, this just remind me of like a big brother putting his little brother in check. That whole entire promo. Basically, he's sitting up there and he's kind of like saying, you know what? Yeah, you were picked pretty high, but you know what? You weren't the number one overall pick like myself. You know what? Yeah, you did win the NXT title, but you weren't the first NXT heavyweight champion. And then he just continued to run down everything. And I said, Seth Rollins is just such a smug SOB. He's just so good at it. This guy is the perfect heel.
Yeah.
And Finn is the perfect face. He has underdog written all over him.
Yes.
He's like, he is very much alike. I think you might have made this comparison not too long ago, like Daniel Bryan.
Oh, absolutely.
He's a small guy, but he could definitely bring in the ring, and the crowd just gets behind him. Yeah, this is going to be huge here. I'm not sure which direction the WWE goes in. You have mentioned the possibility of there being a double turn last week. It might be a good idea because, like I said, I've seen it, a couple of times at this point where Seth Rollins comes out and he gets a face reaction, and he has to be the good heel, and he has to turn it back on the crowd and make them boo him. Okay. And Finn has been a face his whole entire run since he's been in both NXT and WWE, so why not switch it up? Like I said, this would be the perfect time, if they're going to do this thing with the Balor Club, if it's ever going to materialize with Anderson and Gallows having them join up forces with Finn like they did in the Bullet Club over in New Japan. This is the time to do it, right?
Absolutely. And the best way to get it over is they have to continue to have Seth Rollins continue to stay strong as a heel up until SummerSlam, and Finn Balor stay strong as a face up until SummerSlam. It's only been 1 week, but I know that they've kept the interaction. There has been none between Anderson and Gallows and Finn Balor, unlike
Exactly.
they had with AJ Styles, Anderson, and Gallows, which they kind of teased it. Now it's like there's no teasing, so it's like, so if you really want that uber dramatic turn at SummerSlam that's going to create the headline, you just completely keep it a surprise.
Yes. I love it, man. I'm telling you, yeah, this match is going to be memorable. I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I'm not too crazy about the actual name of the title, the WWE Universal title, because as you had alluded to, there are a few other companies who have had a Universal title.
Yes.
All Pro Wrestling included, the World Wrestling Council from down there in Puerto Rico. Also, there used to be the UWF back in the day, which was a company that wound up merging with NWA Jim Crockett Promotions before they formed WCW. They had the Universal Heavyweight Championship as well. So it's not a name that hasn't been used before, but the match itself has this could easily surpass our match of the year candidate of Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn, I believe.
I don't know. It's like SummerSlam's going to NXT and SummerSlam are going to deliver some pretty good caliber matches, I think. So we'll definitely be interested to see if any of them can top match of the year. Definitely looking forward to all that whole entire weekend and seeing what we got coming forward with that. It's like definitely we also have what looks to be a United States Championship match. Not official, but definitely looks like this is the direction they're going. We have the new direction of Roman Reigns to go after Rusev.
Yes. Now, were my ears deceiving me, Dale, or did I actually hear Roman Reigns receive some cheers last Monday?
Some. I don't think it's many.
I'm just going to say this, though. The few that he got were actually legit because they were showing shots of the crowd and showing reaction shots. People were actually standing up and cheering and clapping their hands and yelling, so it wasn't all piped in. So it's some small sliver of progress for Roman Reigns, I must say. And it's funny because I didn't expect him to get over in terms of the crowd against Rusev. I'm a bit perplexed by that.
Again, it's kind of the same thinking that I had when we had John Cena and Rusev in their feud for the United States Championship, and I was at WrestleMania 31, kind of sitting here like, man, because I'm one of those that doesn't typically cheer for John Cena. I kind of like to be on the Cena sucks bandwagon, even though I respect him. But at WrestleMania, I felt like if I didn't cheer for John Cena to come away with the United States Championship against the Bulgarian, I wasn't being American.
And see, it's so funny that you say that because that brings me to my next point. Rusev goes out and gives this full-on Thornhill promo, okay? Talking about how Bulgarians and Russians are superior athletes and how, the only way that the United States athletes have succeeded in the Olympics is because they've cheated and all that stuff. Now, this is 2016. This is not WWE back in the 1980s where we actually believed that Iron Sheik was from Iran and we believed that Nikolai Volkov was from Russia. Me and you know damn well that Rusev lives in Tennessee.
Yes.
Okay? With Lana, he's an American citizen and he's been here in the States for several years. No one actually believes that this guy actually is foreign. So it's kind of like, how cheesy is that?
Right.
I'm actually surprised that it actually, was effective enough to get him enough heat and also get Roman Reigns a face reaction.
That's kind of where I'm just trying to go with it, is if you just want to buy the two characters, it's like you have to boo Rusev and you have to cheer Roman Reigns because like you have the American versus the Bulgarian. But that being said, it's like we've been there, we've done that with several guys in the past. It's like Titus O'Neil and Zack Ryder to speak of, and that didn't really happen. And I think a lot of that just might have been to the booking of how they carried about Titus O'Neil and Zack Ryder, specifically Titus O'Neil with the gimmick that they had on 4th of July. I just couldn't cheer for that. I just thought it was too phony.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Oh my goodness, yeah, Uncle Titus O'Neil.
But anyway, it was like let's move forward to yet another title match that I think we got coming up, and that's for the WWE Tag Team Championships. And I believe it's the two guys that are still kind of calling themselves the Club. That's Anderson and Gallows versus the New Day.
Yes.
But the interesting thing that happened on Monday night is which version of New Day are we going to get at SummerSlam? when they decided to take out Big E.
Great question.
Is it going to be a Anderson and Gallows match versus Kofi and Xavier? Which, if that is the case, hands down, I'm taking the club to win this thing, because the powerhouse that helps the New Day go in Big E probably won't be able to help them out.
Yeah, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I don't think it matters which combination that New Day decides to put in the ring out there against Anderson and Gallows. I think Anderson and Gallows win this match hands down. I think it's time. And to go along with our previous conversation of the possible formation of the Balor Club, I think if they're going to follow suit with how things were done over in New Japan when these guys were the Bullet Club, those guys owned all of the gold over there in New Japan. So I think it would make, the most amount of sense for those two to have the tag titles and to help him get the Universal title, and for them to have the top two championships on the Raw brand.
It would be a fantastic way to kind of end SummerSlam of sorts, depending on where our main event is. I don't know if the Universal Championship is going to be the main event or if it's Lesnar and Randy Orton, but that's the thing. If a SummerSlam ends and your two big champions on Raw are Finn Balor and Anderson and Gallows, and they're united in one, that is definitely a strong statement going forward for all three of them.
Yes, it is.
Yet another title match that we've got coming, and it just seems like this is where we are directed with most of the big programs right now are all centered on a championship. We have Sasha Banks and Charlotte got involved in what was a pretty solid promo effort again. However, though, they were joined this time by Enzo working alone and Chris Jericho.
Yes.
Which I kind of thought was an odd pairing to bring those two guys out.
I said the same as that thing.
But the promos that were delivered by all parties involved was absolutely great. By the end, I kind of actually didn't think that Sasha and Enzo were a bad combination. You've got the kind of thug gangster look of Enzo, and obviously then the legit boss aspect with the chains and the glasses of Sasha Banks. The odd pairing was Chris Jericho with Charlotte. Didn't really make a whole lot of sense, but again, it's like all the promos kind of sold me, and it made it for an interesting match that in the end was won by Charlotte with help from Dana Brooke.
Of course, Dana has to get involved.
Yeah, and again, not really a surprise all that much that Charlotte won, because you know that she has to continue. She can't lose every fall from here until SummerSlam.
Right.
She has to kind of look strong at points to kind of continue to build that thing going forward.
And like you said, to follow up on the promo work, each one of them carried their weight in that segment there. Even Charlotte had jokes. I can't remember exactly what it was, but she had a good one-liner that she aimed at Sasha Banks, I believe. No, it was actually aimed at Enzo. She made reference to his love life, and when it came to it, there was only one way to describe it: SAWFT, soft. I thought that was great.
Oh, absolutely. That was fantastic.
Yeah, how she took his own catchphrase and turned it back on him. Yeah,
absolutely great.
Just absolute solid mic work out of those four. Yes.
We'll move on to Cesaro versus Sheamus.
Okay.
Which I was like, I was okay with this match. I was expecting a little bit more from it, but definitely it's one of those ones where you know that we're going to see the wrestling prowess of both men in a bit of a more snug, strong style matchup.
Yeah. Yeah, those two took it to each other out there on Monday, man.
That saw Cesaro go out on top, and definitely will be interesting to see if Cesaro has anything in the mix for SummerSlam. But now with the split shows, even though I don't know if SmackDown's going to add another championship before SummerSlam, just the fact that Raw added one just adds another title match to the card. And then we are... so it's a pretty stacked effort. I don't know how many guys ultimately are going to kind of get the short end and be held off of SummerSlam. Cesaro is one that shouldn't be, but right now I'm not sure if he's going to be on a SummerSlam card. He might be on we might see this match again in the future. I don't know. It could be a kickoff show match.
Possibly.
But again, I think Cesaro needs something, but right now I just don't know if he's going to be on SummerSlam. It's already a pretty stacked card, and we still got 2 weeks to go.
Yeah, and I'm not sure who brought it up. Someone brought it up in our little Tets discussion that we have, our group Tets, that SmackDown actually does plan to add both tag team titles and a women's title at some point in the near future. But just to go back on what you just said, we weren't sure if it was actually going to be introduced before SummerSlam.
Yeah,
or not, right?
I know that Daniel Bryan added that during a radio interview that he was doing. He mentioned that SmackDown wanted to look into adding their own women's and tag teams championships, but right now I don't know if their divisions are strong enough to kind of bring them in. But I'm kind of expecting that their first individual pay-per-view, Backlash, will they'll introduce one, not both, but one. I think they're going to kind of space it out a little bit because you don't want to just have one pay-per-view and then bring in all these new championships. It's like, that's the thing.
Exactly. Space it out a little bit.
SummerSlam's bringing in the Universal title. I think then at Backlash, SmackDown will bring in one of the two championships that they're lacking, and then maybe their next individual pay-per-view or the next pay-per-view, whichever it may be, following Backlash, then SmackDown will introduce their final championship. It's going to be a slow process to get there. They're not going to just rush everything out.
Right. It made sense. Yeah, so Cesaro, he shined in the win against Sheamus the other night, and talking about things which are shining. Moving on to our next topic here, we had the Shining Stars up against the Golden Truth. Now, I'm not exactly what to make out of this here, because you have these guys, the Shining Stars, who, like I said, have not had any sort of connection with the crowd, have not gotten over at all, against the Golden Truth, who really is actually over with the crowd and is pretty popular, and they got this whole Pokemon Go thing going on right now. But of all things, the Shining Stars, they go over in this match due to the fact that R-Truth kept on missing the tags from Goldust because he was too busy on his smartphone playing Pokemon Go. Dale, what on God's green earth is going on here with these four?
Man, I don't know. It just seemed like for so long WWE was trying to get us to buy into Golden Truth, and it seemed for the most part, I kind of feel like when you give it the seal of approval, it means at some point I think everybody's starting to buy in, and now you have them almost kind of going towards a dissension angle again, where R-Truth is too busy playing a damn video game on his phone to even try to win a tag team match with Goldust. So it's like, just at the moment that we started buying into them, are they now going to split them up after all these months of freaking trying to build the Golden Truth? Are we now, did they just decide that it didn't work? Which to me is like, now that it seems like it is working, they're going to tear it down. Just so confusing. Yeah,
this was a slow build possibly towards a breakup. Because you had said this at one point during one of our No Gimmicks podcast broadcasts, and that it literally had been one of the longest running storylines going on in the WWE. Right. And for these guys to, build, almost a better part of a year on actually coming a more cohesive unit, actually possibly, having a good run to tag team belts, to possibly wind up with absolutely nothing. Yeah, it just really doesn't add up, does it?
No, it does not. Let's touch on one last thing from Raw, and it definitely, because we've got all parties involved with Shining Stars, is like a repackage, is like the long history of Golden Truth, and a guy that definitely seems like he's now being repackaged as he's solo, Braun Strowman. It definitely looks like they're going to try to do what they wanted to do with this guy from the very beginning, and that it's built him up as a monster. Now, my only worry and concern is that they don't try to push him to the moon so fast again now that he's by himself. Because I know that we had heard rumblings that they wanted to set up Strowman and Brock Lesnar. Obviously, that did not happen.
I'm glad that didn't happen.
And I'm still thinking at WrestleMania 33, they're still shooting for the moon if they want Braun Strowman and Lesnar at WrestleMania 33. He won't be ready for that type of leap this soon.
Absolutely not.
I think maybe WrestleMania 34 for him, but I definitely like where they're going with it and trying to do him the right way instead of just making him the big old muscle-bound guy with that stood behind Bray Wyatt. Now he's on his own, getting to do things his way, and has a pretty good finisher with that reverse choke slam.
I'm loving that. Yeah, he's got to come up with something very clever to describe that too. Like I said, the only thing that I'm not really liking about Braun Strowman right now is that goofy raw at the beginning of the beginning of his theme music. That is just the goofiest thing. So like I said, you see this guy come out, and yes, he is just absolutely humongous. Like I said, Braun is a legit. This guy's got to be close to about 6'8" and weighs 377 pounds. Quite a physically imposing specimen. And I just love how they have Byron Saxton coming up to the ring and kind of, going up to the guys who he's facing off against. This guy this past week, man, he looked like he was about to go number 2 in his drawers, okay? And he made the whole comment of if he, participated in the match, he won $1,000. If he won the match, he got $5,000. And then I think someone made the comment and said, yeah, I think you have a better chance of either getting struck by lightning or winning the Powerball, but good luck, buddy. And I think he walks out the ring and then pretty much, it's like the lamb getting led to the slaughter. I think I told you this before the show. I was sending a text message to a friend of mine, okay? And literally, within 1 minute, I think that match was over. That is a pure squash match.
You know what?
I don't think that guy got any offense in whatsoever.
Yeah, that was Byron Saxton that said that. But you know what, though? That they're breaking up this money angle, about $1,000 for taking the fight, $5,000 for winning. I could very well see this leading towards them also bringing somebody else in that takes on that money bet and winning. That's going to be a more relevant name. So it'll definitely be interesting to see who that is going to be.
And I think it would make more sense if it actually was somebody either from off the WWE roster, like a free agent who they're bringing in, or someone maybe possibly from NXT that they're bringing in. Because obviously, I mean, unless he actually comes out and gives a promo and says like, hey, I've ran through X amount of people, no one can stop me, and then maybe say somebody like Big Show comes out, who really is about the only physically imposing enough person who even stand even close to a chance of competing against this guy, But I'm just kind of brainstorming a little bit here. I mean, who possibly would make sense, to possibly stand up to Braun Strowman? Luke Harper, perhaps?
Could very well be a return of Luke Harper. Although, with what I'm seeing them doing on SmackDown, I think I'm going to be pretty safe to assume Luke's going to come back on SmackDown.
And be with Bray and Eric Rowan. Yeah, and I think that's silly. I think, at this point, like I said, the Wyatt family has, been together and broken up and been together and broken up, a couple of times. I almost want to see them bring someone else new into that fold, with the Wyatts over there, and let Luke come back and get a solo push. Because like I said, Luke is ready. He's ready. Bray is ready. Those other two guys, like I said, Braun, this is a slow build that they got going on with him, and Eric Rowan definitely needs someone to feed off of, because they actually tried to give him his own, gimmick where, he was kind of more a civilized person and not exactly a Wyatt, and it just didn't work as a face,
Yeah.
So anyhow, yeah, so that was a pretty solid 3 hours of action we got from Monday Night Raw this past week. So you're tuned in to the No Gimmicks podcast with Dale Clifford and Todd Smith. We're moving on to our SmackDown Live discussion. So Dean Ambrose and Dolph Ziggler had their confrontation, and this was some good, solid mic work out of Dolph Ziggler. Maybe possibly some of the best I've actually heard from him during his career. Dean kind of, was getting in his face and pretty much saying like, hey, you know what? I kind of had to, fight from the bottom all the way up to the top. And Dolph kind of comes back at him like, hey, man, I remember you storming in here with two of your buddies dressed up like the SWAT team, and pretty much taking everyone out. And you pretty much, got to the top quickly. I had to fight, scratch, and claw my way all the way up from the bottom, including coming in dressed up as a male cheerleader. As a member of the Spirit Squad. And a lot of people, I remember that. I remember that vividly. He was Nikki.
Yes.
From the Spirit Squad. Did you remember that?
Yes, I remember the Spirit Squad. Didn't really remember so much that he was Nikki from the Spirit Squad, because there was another guy, Kenny from the Spirit Squad was the guy that was
Kenny Dykstra.
Yep, Kenny Dykstra. He was the guy that was supposed to be the future big star from the Spirit Squad.
Yeah.
And look where we are now. Dolph Ziggler's the main event of SummerSlam for the WWE Championship against Dean Ambrose, and I don't even know where Kenny Dykstra even is.
I'll be dead honest with you. I was about to say, I'm not sure if that guy's even still wrestling anymore. They gave him the accolade of saying that he was a future WWE Hall of Famer. Okay? Now, you want to talk about taking it a bit too far and stretching things. That dude, like I said, he just fizzled out. I remember he had kind of an angle going on with Victoria there for a little bit, but he fizzled out quickly.
He had a pretty good a leg drop. I loved where he would do.
Yes, he did.
That hold the leg and then deliver the leg drop, which I thought was pretty sick.
Yes.
But yeah,
I love that.
Outside of he got his solo push, it did not work. Dolph Ziggler disappeared from being Nikki, got repackaged into Dolph Ziggler. And we have chronicled many times the trials and tribulations of Dolph dealing with the injuries, being pushed, getting injured, not being pushed. And here we are, still trying to figure out whether or not he's an important push right now into SummerSlam, or if, as you said, he's the safe pick for SmackDown to make sure that they can deliver on a good WWE Championship match, put him in there with Dean Ambrose, have them try to, as Dolph likes to say, steal the show, and then move forward with SmackDown. I hope Dolph becomes something more than just trying to steal the show, be a guy that can just deliver the match and actually become. You know what? I would not be disappointed at all if Dolph Ziggler walked out of SummerSlam as the WWE champion. The one thing though I will say that kind of bugs me a little bit what SmackDown is doing.
What's that?
Is referring to Dolph Ziggler as a 2-time World Heavyweight Champion. He's never actually won the WWE Championship, so that the fact that he carried around that big gold belt has nothing to do with the fact that he should be help his relevancy with the WWE Championship.
Exactly.
We always know that there was Title A and Title B.
Yep.
He's now trying to go for Title A when he was a 2-time champion of Title B.
Yep.
Don't try to tell me that because he was a 2-time Title B champion that he is justified at being a Title A champion now.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, I know he defeated Edge for that title, and he also defeated Alberto Del Rio, if I remember correctly. But I almost want to say that when it came for the match against Edge, that he was granted the title because Edge used the spear and he wasn't supposed to. Like, the spear was outlawed from being used during the match. So he kind of was granted the title more so than actually, winning it. If my mind serves me correctly on that.
I was just going to say, I'm not sure. You might be right on that. But again, we definitely, as we're counting down to SummerSlam, again, it's like we both have the question marks surrounding Dolph Ziggler. And now it definitely looks like SmackDown Live is making it that Dolph Ziggler has the huge question mark on why he is even in the main event of SummerSlam, even though he did, yes, win the six-pack challenge. But now he stepped up and said that Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon didn't believe in him.
Right.
And, well, he was confronted by Bray Wyatt, who again, didn't think that Dolph Ziggler deserved to be in the match. And then they set up the match, and then Shane and Daniel Bryan were trying to tell Dolph that he did need to take the match because he had everything to lose, nothing to gain.
Right.
And he basically, on his way out to the ring, said, "You guys don't believe in me either."
Yeah, he said, "Screw you guys." That's pretty much what he said to him. But my 2 cents on that, I strongly believe that Dolph was not going to go over against Bray. I thought Bray was going to win that match, and I thought he was going to go on to face Dean at SummerSlam. That's what I thought was going to happen.
I kind of thought that they might deliver the switch just because, again, Dolph Ziggler can kind of be thrown anywhere because he's Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
Bray Wyatt, you kind of have to weave him in with a storyline into something where he's going. This would have been his moment to weave him in with Dean Ambrose to be the main event at SummerSlam for the WWE Championship. Now we're kind of left with where is Bray going, even though him and Eric Rowan kind of laid waste to Dean after that match.
Yeah, and the biggest question mark, like I said, with the Wyatt family right now is where does Luke Harper wind up once he comes back? Like I said, logically, it would only make sense that they pair him back up with Bray and Eric Rowan, but I really, truly want to see that guy get a solo push over there on Raw. I wish they would bring somebody else in because that's the great thing about the Wyatt family. All it takes is a big guy who can grow a beard. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like you said, it's funny because I think you have mentioned this. How one of the guys from War Machine, it was Warbeard. What's his name? The guy who shares my name, Todd Smith.
Hanson.
Yes, thank you. You said how he kind of looked like he could be a member of the Whites. And it's true. So they could always recruit another member. You know. So yeah, that's the major question mark. Like I said, where's Luke Harper gonna wind up with once he comes back from his injury? So yeah, only time will tell with Bray. Only time will tell. But yeah, at some point that guy's got to get a landmark win in his career. We're still waiting on that.
And then our second big SummerSlam match that isn't revolved around a championship features AJ Styles wanting to beat up John Cena at SummerSlam.
Yes. Great segment between these two. One of the most passionate promos I've heard delivered by John Cena in a while.
Absolutely.
How WWE is his home and he's not going anywhere and he's not gonna basically sell out and go the actor route or the mainstream route, and that no matter what he does, he can still participate in things such as hosting the SB Awards, which he did an awesome job for the company that I work for, ESPN. But he's basically going to stay with WWE. He's not going to betray, the fans. He's not going to betray those who have been loyal to him throughout his career. Good stuff.
Yep. Taking the shots at AJ Styles because he's now with his third company because he was Impact, didn't work out there, moved to New Japan Wrestling, didn't work out there. He's now in WWE. So as John Cena said, it's like, why are you here?
Let me correct you, my man. You said 3. How about we add one more to that?
Oh.
Where did AJ
Ring of Honor
get his appearance on TV? No. WCW.
Okay, you're right. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Remember he was a part of that tag team when they were doing the whole Cruiserweight tag team title tournament towards the end there?
Well,
probably around 2000, 2001. That was the first place I ever saw AJ, even before TNA.
Alrighty. There you go.
So he's got a couple under his belt. Yeah.
Add several promotions to it because E3 I was even wrong with leaving out Ring of Honor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he's been everywhere.
Yes, he has. Johnny Cash even wrote a song about it.
And John Cena's been one place WWE.
Yeah.
Now, it was very interesting in AJ's promo that I kind of thought was a shot. He obviously spun it towards just taking out the Nashville, Tennessee crowd. But when he said he knows how things work in Nashville, I 100% knew where he was going. He was aiming it as a shot at Impact Wrestling.
Yes, he was, because for those of you who are not aware, yes, they do bring the majority of their live TV from down there in the Impact Zone in Orlando, Florida. But Impact's roots, or TNA's roots, are from right there in Nashville, Tennessee. That's where their headquarters are based out of. That's where Dixie Carter, holds down court and runs things from. Yeah, you're correct.
So I definitely thought that both men delivered in their promos. Obviously, we know what John Cena does. He's been doing it for 15 years when it comes to the mic skills, and I definitely thought this was a very good one from AJ Styles to help in his direction of now kind of being that solo guy because he doesn't have Anderson and Gallows to help him out and carrying these promos. He did a very good job of hanging in there.
He did.
One of the all-time greats in John Cena.
Yeah, he fed off of John pretty well. And like I said, AJ, they don't call him phenomenal for no reason. I know this is sounding kind of cheesy and whatnot, but the dude, he's got the skills that pay the bills. One of the most solid in-ring competitors. I think he has the charisma. I think he also can be kind of a dastardly heel. Only time will tell how far he's going to go in terms of his star power in WWE. Will he be that guy someday headline a show like WrestleMania? Possibly. It could happen. But I think it's going to take a little bit of time for it to all develop.
We already kind of spoke on what impact Randy Orton had on Monday Night Raw with Brock Lesnar. Well, you know what? Brock was not going to be outdone.
No, he was not.
And he made his presence felt on SmackDown Live when he decided to interrupt a match between Randy Orton and Fandango and deliver an F5 to Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar can't F5 himself. He delivered an F5 to Randy Orton. But it is now set up where we're going to have a meeting of the commissioners. We're going to have Daniel Bryan and Mick Foley on Monday Night Raw, and I think they're going to kind of discuss how things are kind of getting out of hand between Randy Orton and Brock Lesnar.
Dale, don't feel so bad, man. If Michael Cole could do it almost every other week, you're excused for this week for doing it, man.
I did just say Brock Lesnar F5'd himself, but
Yeah, that's something Michael Cole would say, right?
Probably, yes.
Yeah, don't feel so bad. Yeah, turnabout is fair play, and I loved it how at the beginning, how Shane and Daniel Bryan were standing up there with Orton, they're showing them the video, and they're just like, hey, man, do you realize what you did? You could have jeopardized not only your career, you could have jeopardized the SmackDown brand, and he's just running him down and everything, and then at the end of the segment, he goes, you know what, though? That was actually pretty cool. And I love how after Brock hit Randy with the F5 and he's getting escorted out by security and all that, and him and Paul Heyman, they're gloating and they're walking off to the SUV. Paul kind of turning back on Shane. He goes, oh, but you know what? It sure looked cool, though, didn't it? Yeah, I love the banter. I love the banter between the parties involved in this little feud here. This is the only feud, the only cross-promotional feud that they have going on right now. Yeah, this is some good TV that we're getting out of this.
Yep, definitely.
You agree?
Oh, absolutely. I wasn't quite sure about Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton when it was first announced, but definitely they are doing a fantastic job of billing and making you want to see which will be their very first pay-per-view matchup between Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton at SummerSlam.
It definitely poses a threat. So speaking of threats, Dale, we had a number one contender match for the IC title featuring Kalisto, Baron Corbin, and Apollo Crews. Now, you want to talk about a contrast in styles here. We have the speed of a luchador like Kalisto. We have the power and the size of someone like Baron Corbin, who's a former NFL player and that's a Golden Gloves competitor. And then you have kind of a combination of the few attributes that those two have with the speed, the size, and the power and athleticism of someone like Apollo Crews. Now, Apollo Crews actually went over here in a pretty, even contest between the three of these guys. That actually kind of caught me by surprise. Did that strike you by surprise at all, Dale, that he went over in this match?
No, I was not surprised by Apollo Crews winning and becoming the number one contender for the Intercontinental title. Again, in a smaller sample, you could say, of sorts. Apollo Crews, I believe, is going to be the guy that SmackDown Live turns into a star. As in contrast to Raw's creating of Finn Balor, he's freaking in the Universal Championship match against Seth Rollins. So not even on the same level, but I still believe that SmackDown Live's young guy that they're going to try to elevate up the ranks is Apollo Crews. And putting him in a match with The Miz, I know you don't like to give Miz much credit, but the dude knows how to work and he can deliver, and I believe he's going to help sell what Apollo Crews has to offer. I'm kind of looking forward to that match at SummerSlam, obviously because I get to watch The Miz, but I also get to see what he can do to help progress Apollo Crews forward as he becomes one of the stars, future stars of the business.
Let me preface this statement by saying this. I mentioned this once before. When Miz was out there in Reno, Nevada, when I was still out there in the West Coast, he actually was cool enough to hook me and Dale up with some front row seats when WWE came into town, and they did show up there at the Lawler Event Center. So yeah, like I said, my beef is not exactly with Mike Mizanin, the individual. It's with The Miz, the character who he portrays. But then you think about it, if he gets under my skin that much, what is he doing? His job. He's doing a good job at it. He's a heel. That's what he's meant to do. He's meant to be an annoying heel, who's smug and holier than thou and thinks he's better than everyone. So yeah, so Miz is a good worker as well. So I think Apollo Crews actually will be able to learn a little bit and help develop. He'll get some seasoning while being in the ring with the Miz. So I think big things are to come for this guy, Apollo. It's just going to take a little bit of time for him to develop. I see maybe possibly in about a year or two, he might possibly have that opportunity to compete for the World Heavyweight title over there on SmackDown brand if they're still actually doing the split brands at that point in time. But moving on here, speaking of some other guys from NXT who have got an opportunity on the main roster, we saw the debut of probably one of the hottest tag teams in all of professional wrestling in American Alpha. These guys are dynamic. Like I said, this is one of the tag teams that is kind of another throwback in a way. They sort of remind me a little bit of the Steiner brothers from back in the day. You're familiar with those two, right?
Oh, absolutely. Dale? Combination of the Steiner brothers and the world's greatest tag team.
Yes, Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas. These guys have a little bit of everything. They're athletic. They've got speed. They've got the power game and the suplexes. Yeah. They are a deadly combination, and they were up against the Vaudevillains this past week here. The Vaudevillains, kind of some of the heat that they had, on them basically, after the fallout from the match against Enzo and Kaz, where Enzo got seriously hurt. I don't know if that possibly has caused them to be in the position that they're in, because they haven't really gotten very many wins lately. Have you noticed that?
That is correct. I also know that Sin Cara and Simon Gotch got into a backstage scuffle.
Yeah.
And
you mentioned that.
And some of the heat has been on Simon for just kind of the way he's acted backstage. And obviously, Sin Cara had enough of kind of the attitude backstage and kind of popped Simon one.
He laid the smackdown on him. How you like that?
There we go. Yeah.
Pun intended.
And obviously, we now I remember back when we were debating between Enzo and Cass and the Vaudevillains who was going to have the better main roster stay. Obviously, right now it looks like Enzo and Cass over the Vaudevillains, because now the Vaudevillains are on SmackDown helping to put over the debuting American Alpha, who are going to soar right above whatever the Vaudevillains thought they were going to be able to do in the tag team front.
Yeah. When you're being jobbed to a debuting tag team, that is not a good sign. Not a good sign at all. And speaking of a sign of things to come, I bet you Heath Slater did not see that gore coming from Rhino, did he, while he was back there talking to the Shane McMahon backstage?
Nope, just trying to pitch his way into getting a contract again. And you know what?
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan, I believe, offered up his way for Seth or Heath Slater to get his SmackDown Live contract. And he's going to get a match with the man that gored him through the backstage area, Rhino, next week. So definitely going to be very interesting to see who comes out on top in that one, Rhino or Heath Slater. If it's Rhino, I get it. He's the man beast, and we know what he can do. But really, what is the ultimate future of Rhino on SmackDown Live? Heath Slater's still a young guy. He's got many years left to go. I think there might be something up the sleeve of Heath Slater to kind of try to find a way to pull out a win over Rhino.
I feel the same exact way. Now, let me throw out a couple of points here. Point A, did you just completely laugh your butt off when he got his head kicked off into the front row by returning Jinder Mahal?
Oh, absolutely.
On Raw.
Fantastic.
That was so funny because he's sitting up there giving this promo, saying about, oh, this is my boy. We go way back. We were part of the three-man band together. And, he's referring to him as his brother and whatnot. All meanwhile, Jinder Mahal is going behind his back and telling the ref, hey, come over here, get ready to count the three. And he just hit him with that kick, man, and laid him out flat on his back for the 1, 2, 3. I thought that was hilarious. And then my next point I'm going to make here is Rhino is actually running for an office. And I want to say, is it the Senate that he's running for an office for out there in Michigan as a Republican?
I'm not sure. I know that.
Did you hear about this?
I know that he won his primary, though.
Yeah. So I don't quite see. Now, we all know that being a politician behind the scenes in wrestling can get you far. But he's actually taking this to a whole nother level. He is actually running for a public office. So I don't know how he's going to be able to juggle the two of a WWE schedule, as I said, which is probably one of the most demanding schedules that you could ever take up. It's 280 days of traveling out of a 365-day year and being a man of the people. So I think, if he winds up getting elected in the office, he's probably not going to be around WWE much longer as it is, period, right?
Correct, yeah. I don't we got the November election coming up, so I'm thinking that right now Rhino's perceiving that he's kind of his run's going through November. If he loses, it might extend farther, but that's the thing. They can't get him locked into anything past November, because if he wins, I definitely think his days in WWE have to go away. He can't do both at the same time. That does one does not mix well with the other.
I don't know. For some reason, Dale, maybe it's just me. I just can't see Rhino being the guy sitting up there wearing, the three-piece suit and actually having his hair slipped back and, shaking hands and kissing babies and all that. I see him being the kind of guy, if somebody got on his wrong side, he'd pick him up in the courtroom and, power drive him through one of the judges' tables or something. But hey, that wraps things up for our SmackDown Live discussion. So you're tuning into the No Gimmicks podcast here with Dale Clifford and Todd Smith. And we're moving on to the WWE developmental territory, NXT. Now, NXT featured the return of one guy and also the debut of someone who we've been waiting to see for quite a while on the WWE roster. Those two being Hideo Itami, who's coming back from being off for over a year after a shoulder surgery, re-debuting, I guess you could say, against Sean Maluta. Sean Maluta, another member of the huge Samoan dynasty, the Inoue family that features The Rock, Alpha and Sika, the Usos, Roman Reigns. And Sean Maluta also is competing in the Cruiserweight Classic right now. It had a very, very solid showing against Kota Ibushi in the first round.
He made our July matches of the month with Kota Ibushi.
Yes, he did.
So not surprised to see Maluta on NXT, and definitely thought he was a good work the rust off match for Hideo Itami.
Yes, it's great to see that guy back, and man, that scar looks nasty.
Oh yeah,
that he has on his shoulder. Yeah, I'm telling you. I'll tell you what though, the one thing that was disappointing to me, how far removed is CM Punk from WWE at this point in time? People want to see this guy used to go to sleep, and I've said this once before during one of our broadcasts. Don't get it twisted. CM Punk did not innovate that maneuver to go to sleep. That was actually innovated by Hideo Itami when he was competing over there, I believe it was in Noah, over in Japan, and when he was going by the name of Kenta. That's his finishing move. Why they won't allow this guy to use it, I don't know what they're waiting for. You know, the one time he did break it out was during a house show. I want to say it was WrestleMania. It was WrestleMania 31 weekend, I believe it was.
Correct, out in San Jose. Yeah,
out there in the Bay Area.
Yep.
You know, what are they waiting for to let this guy, use his finisher? You have any ideas to why they could possibly be holding him back, Dale?
I don't know why they're holding it back, but just going kind of along into some of his moveset, signature, and finisher, I just saw a combination of Sami Zayn's Haluva kick to Finn Balor's drop kick into the corner to Shinsuke Nakamura, Daniel Bryan's knee.
Yeah. It's kind of a mixed bag. It would be almost like if you took the strikes from all three or four of those guys and put them together. That's kind of what you saw.
So give him the go to sleep because I don't want to see him continually using the moveset of three other guys that are currently on the roster. CM Punk is off in the UFC. We're not going to ever see him back in the WWE again. Go ahead and give.
Most likely not.
Most likely not. I won't say never, but their relationship right now is not very good.
You never say never in the wrestling business. If you can see Eric Bischoff walk down the ramp with Vince McMahon on Monday Night Raw years ago, after all the bad blood between those two companies, WCW and what was WWF at the time, never say never. Anything can happen in the wrestling business. But anyhow, nonetheless, great to see Hideo Itami back in the NXT ring. And then we get the glorious. I absolutely love the Queen-inspired theme song of Bobby Roode. Was that awesome or what?
The glorious debut of Bobby Roode.
Yes.
And how he cuts a face promo and is like, and before he's done, he leaves. He is 100% heel going forward.
He gave the crowd the Seth Rollins treatment, man. The crowd wanted to be behind this guy, and they wanted to cheer him so much, and it just cracked me up because I just said Bobby Roode doing his job, being a good heel, and turning it back on the fans and trying to get some cheap heat because he was almost just like, okay, I got to pretty much say whatever I can to degrade these people right now just to actually get the heel reception that I ought to. But yeah, the crowd was eating it up. They were loving to see Roode in the NXT ring. I think his star power is absolutely needed on NXT right now because, like I said, a portion of what happened during the WWE draft, the women's division just got absolutely gutted.
Absolutely.
And they lost, the best tag team in American Alpha, and they lost their top star in Finn. So they really could benefit from this. You agree on that?
Absolutely agree. The other person, though, I know that was often connected in NXT rumors, Eric Young is nowhere to be found. And I definitely thought NXT could use him right now.
Yeah.
He basically had the one and done, is still a free agent, and isn't even doing anything. So I don't know what is up with Eric Young, but definitely Bobby Roode, much needed. He goes right into, he'll be an instant top of the card guy. I definitely, I'm not expecting his debut to come until Back to Brooklyn, and it will be very interesting to see who they put in the ring with him. And Back to Brooklyn is looking pretty good because we got Samoa Joe against Nakamura. We're going to have Austin Aries versus No Way Jose. And we also got, it looks like we're headed towards the NXT Tag Team Championship match of Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano against the Revival. It's like, I know that you were pushing for TM61 to kind of get that shot first. Well, they got their chance on NXT this week, and
they were not successful.
Solid effort.
It's not their time
successful.
Yet. They got nets, as people say, like out there in the hoop courts, the street courts. They say, "Yo, man, I got nets." That's what these two guys have, literally, because it is Gargano and Ciampa's time now. These guys are going to knock off the Revival for those NXT tag straps. I really like this tag team. I really like it when you have two guys who are just as strong as solo wrestlers, and then you put them together in their cohesive unit. You know who these guys remind me of? And I don't know if you agree with this comparison or not, Dale. Tell me what you think of this. They're kind of like NXT's version of Red Dragon. You see that comparison?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
On their own, these guys had, possibly not a match of the year, I would say, but definitely one of the strongest matches I've seen out at Cruiserweight Classic from about a week or so ago. That match was awesome.
Yeah. Their Cruiserweight Classic first round match probably top 1-2 of the matches on so far on the Cruiserweight Classic.
Yes.
But as you were bringing up Red Dragon, both guys from Ring of Honor. Guess where Tommaso Ciampa comes
Ring
from?
of Honor.
Ring of Honor.
Mm-hmm. Bit surprised there. Somebody who knows how to work and knows how to hold their own in the ring. Yeah.
Ring of Honor delivering yet again another guy that has been swiped up by the WWE. And definitely very interesting, as both of these guys mentioned, well, at least Gargano did, that he had never really been in a tag team in most of his indie career to kind of be paired up with Ciampa, and now it looks like these two have absolutely taken over the NXT crowd. They have the 100% support of the crowd. This is the team that the crowd wants to see go after the Revival. Now, I don't know if the Revival is going to all of a sudden become the first team to ever win the tag team titles twice to then kind of drop them fairly soon after getting the titles right back again. We'll see.
Yeah. And
Gargano and Ciampa aren't going anywhere because they do have a decent deal with WWE.
Yeah, they both signed.
But the Revival is the homegrown WWE talent, and we kind of know that WWE, if they got something that they like that is homegrown, they want to keep that going.
Correct. And, just to kind of reiterate on what you said, these guys, they had never really, been a part of a tag team, nor had they ever tagged up with each other. So their chemistry for the short amount of time that they've been together has just been unreal. And I just find it funny, okay? I'm not, blowing our own horn here, Dale, but I just got to put it out here. I made the comparison not too long ago of comparing the two members of the Revival, Dash and Dawson, to whom?
Ole and Arn
Anderson. And what did he say on NXT this past week? He started making fun of him and saying, which one are you guys again? Are you Ole? Are you Arn, kind of thing? And it cracked me up because if I recall correctly, I think Dawson got on the mic and said, thank you. He took it as a compliment, and it is a compliment to be compared to those two guys. Because like I said, those guys were tag team specialists, members of the original Four Horsemen, when it was composed of those two plus Tully Blanchard and Ric Flair. Those guys were smash mouth.
One of the names that
go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the names you want in professional wrestling is the last name Anderson.
Oh, gosh, yes. Yes. Anybody who has that last name almost has, you can't really say street cred because we're not talking about the streets here. We're talking about professional wrestling. But, yeah, you're looked at as being legit if you can carry that last name, if you can actually get it done in the ring. Indeed. So, also on NXT from this past week, we saw yet another promo for another new talent who's debuting on the NXT roster here soon. Ember Moon. Now, all I know about Ember Moon so far is that the name that she's competing under on the indie circuit is Athena. She's a young African-American woman, supposed to be very strong, very athletic, And from what I've been told, she's going to thrust herself into the women's title picture here very, very quickly. Do you know anything about Ember Moon, Dale? Or
I do not.
Are you just kind of in the dark as I am?
I do not.
Okay.
Highly anticipated arrival of Ember Moon as she tries to make her way into the NXT women's division, which is currently highlighted by Asuka and Bayley, who will have their contract match for Back to Brooklyn. And I'm kind of not really sure who's going to take the second match between these two, if Bayley's going to get the title back or if Asuka's going to get her second victory over Bayley.
Yeah, now that I'm convinced that Bayley is not going to leave the NXT roster to go up to the main roster full-time anytime soon, there's a very good chance she might take the title back. Because I was almost positive that when we saw her at Battleground as the mystery tag team partner for Sasha Banks, I thought that was it. I said Bayley's finally made her jump to the main roster, and then they pulled her back. I don't know what they're waiting for to pull the trigger on that. I don't know if it's a personal decision or if it's something, that where they just figured they need her down there, since the star power isn't very strong for the women's. I'm really not sure.
I think it's a need thing. Obviously, is like if she jumps to the main roster. What is the NXT Women's Division? Asuka
and a bunch of pretty much Et's enhancement talents, Et's women from Tough Enough, and some who are just relatively unknown.
So they have to build up the women's division, but they kind of need two ladies to continue to hold down the division as being one that made women's wrestling important. So, definitely makes sense for them to be down, for her to kind of stay down there and battle with Asuka for a little bit.
Yes, indeed. So, that wraps up our NXT discussion. You're tuning in to the No Gimmicks podcast with Dale Clifford and Todd Smith. We're going to be heading over to Ring of Honor here to have a little discussion about what took place on this past week's episode. Quite a jam-packed episode of Ring of Honor that we got, including a 6-man tag featuring the Briscoes, and Jay Lethal, who did battle against the Bullet Club, comprised of Adam Cole and the Young Bucks. So, quite a few things going on here. We have what's looking to be a Jay Lethal full-on face turn at this point. And my man got a haircut, too. Hey, Jay, if you need a haircut, man, I had a good barber out there in the area that you were in that I could have recommended you to. You didn't have to let Adam Cole do that to you. But yeah, it's quite a new look for Jay Lethal. It looks like this is gonna be what he's gonna be rocking with the whole ball head look going forward. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that, Dale?
It definitely will be an interesting look for Jay Lethal. We'll get more into
correct
that in a little bit, but definitely the Bullet Club is shaking up Ring of Honor.
Yes, they are.
Now I know going forward, because last week we had the Bullet Club attack on Kyle O'Reilly, and Nigel McGuinness said that Adam Cole would never, ever get a ROH title shot. Well, guess what? At Death Before Dishonor, we got Adam Cole versus Jay Lethal for the ROH Heavyweight Championship.
Yes, we do.
Now, I'm assuming this is going to be explained in the coming weeks. That probably Jay Lethal is going to come out, because obviously ROH TV is a little bit delayed.
Just a little bit.
We already know the card that is set.
Yeah.
And we already know the card that is set for Death Before Dishonor.
Exactly.
So now we get to go back in time and see how things are set up. I'm pretty sure we're going to get Jay Lethal that's going to demand a match with Adam Cole, and then somehow the ROH title is going to be put on the line.
Yeah,
so definitely Adam Cole versus Jay Lethal at Death Before Dishonor is going to be pretty good. I'm going to leave my prediction for a couple weeks when we touch base on a prediction show coming up.
Yeah.
On that.
I think it's fair to say that ROH is kind of the flux capacitor of the pro wrestling world. Like you said, you're not sure like if you're watching something from really far back or if it's something current or, like what's going on possibly that's going to affect the future. But it's good wrestling no matter when you're watching, the past, present, or future. I think we could agree upon that.
Well, obviously, we got teased for this coming week is Jay Lethal versus Colt Cabana for the ROH World title. So, spoiler, if you didn't just hear me talk about Death Before Dishonor's card, Jay Lethal is going to beat Colt Cabana somehow to retain the title here.
Exactly. Yes, he's going to retain. Yeah, sorry to reveal the spoiler for our listeners there, but yeah, that's just the way it is. Like I said, with ROH TV, and which brings us to our next topic. Yeah, we got to see Moose once again featured on both Impact and ROH in the same week, even though he's actually signed with Impact Wrestling. But we got to see kind of a run-in between him and the P-Dog and the Get Along Gang. Those groups of goofs. And then after he lays waste to them, he gets challenged by, possibly the only other real big man on the roster besides the guys from War Machine. I'm talking about in terms of height and whatnot when I'm talking about Donovan Dijak. Donovan Dijak, former UMass hoops player. That's his game, and Moose, had his time that he spent in the NFL with the Atlanta Falcons, and I think with the Patriots as well, too. I believe this was a pretty good, solid back and forth contest between these two.
Absolutely. This, to me, was a match that all big men in professional wrestling should be proud of. This is a match that shows you what big men in professional wrestling can do. Unlike, and this is taking nothing away from the big men that you see in WWE, but for the most part, the Braun Strowmans and the Eric Rowans and and Kane, to his most part, they can't do what these guys can do. Obviously, Luke Harper can, because we have seen him do it, and we know what he can do.
Kane used to, and Big Show used to, but not now at this stage in their careers, though.
No, it's like Kane a little bit. It's like Big Show's always kind of been a big guy. But this is definitely Moose and Donovan Dijak are the future of the big men in professional wrestling, and it's definitely a good future for them.
Yeah. And I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of this guy, Donovan Dijak. That finisher that he uses, I can't quite think of the name of it, but where he kind of gets him in like the torture rack and he flips him over and then he hits him with the knee. It's almost kind of like a modified version of the go to sleep. I really like that.
Yes.
And Moose, as I've said, numerous times, Moose actually has probably one of the best drop kicks in all of professional wrestling. You agree with that, Dale?
Oh, absolutely. Best drop kick. And again, coming from a guy his size is just, it's pretty outstanding. Yes. And I really wasn't all that surprised. Obviously, we know that Moose is crossing between Ring of Honor and Impact right now that Donovan Dijak went over. Donovan Dijak's a guy that has a future continuing in Ring of Honor. Moose, I don't know how many more weeks we're going to see him on Ring of Honor TV. Because, as you had pointed out, he is actually a contracted employee of Impact Wrestling. So I'm definitely surprised that we are getting the multiple TV appearances from him.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that. And just going back on a minute or so, the finisher that I was describing that I couldn't think of the name of, Feast Your Eyes.
There it is.
That's the name of it. Yeah, the back breaker rat dropped into the knee lift. Yeah, that is sweet. And I haven't seen anyone else use that before, so it's definitely a unique finisher for Donovan Dijak. So yeah, definitely a solid contest between those two. Speaking more of the company that Moose is performing for now, we're gonna wrap up our ROH conversation, move on to TNA Impact. So this week on Impact, we had the Bound for Glory playoff final featuring Ethan Carter III and the Miracle Mike Bennett. Very solid match between these two. These two pulled out all the stops and showed a pretty vast array of moves from their move sets. And I think you told me that this is something that you didn't quite catch, but Eddie Edwards came in and did like kind of a pseudo run-in during that match when Moose got involved, and he pulled off one of the sickest, craziest looking suicide dives where he ran and he literally jumped over the referee who was standing in the ring to the outside and did almost like a barrel roll on the Moose. It was just sick. And it happened so quick where literally, I mean, you probably just would have blinked your eye, just turn your eyes away from the screen, check on Pumbaa and Boo Boo and Scrappy there. And that's when it happened.
Yeah. No, you had told me about that, and definitely from hearing about it and reading it, I'm kind of disappointed that I missed it. But yeah, it kind of was a blink of an eye thing. I kind of missed the whole entire Moose encounter in itself. It was like, to me, it's like I watched the EC3 Mike Bennett match because I thought it was a pretty good match and a nice main event for Impact. and cannot at all remember any of the interactions with Moose and Eddie Edwards. So I'm kind of disappointed that somehow I missed all of that.
I'm completely digging that Mike Bennett is, what is he naming his finisher now? The MIP, the Miracle in Progress.
Miracle in Progress.
Basically, I want to say it's kind of like a modified Michinoku driver. I like that name, and I like that finish that he's using there. But yeah, Mike Bennett, actually had a pretty solid showing in this match here.
So anyway, EC3 wins.
Yes,
he's headed for Bound for Glory.
Mm-hmm.
To get, I can't even say who the champion is going to be because we have a little twist coming up with all of that. So that is connected to the King of the Mountain Championship, which was defended and lost on Impact.
Eli Drake, dummy, yeah.
Well, he's certainly looking like a dummy now because he put the challenge out.
Yes, he is.
He put the challenge out to James Storm. James Storm is your new King of the Mountain champion, and he gets challenged by Lashley, setting up yet another title for title match. However, the added thing to this is Bobby Lashley is putting both the X Division and the TNA World Championship on the line against James Storm for the King of the Mountain Championship. So one man is going to leave with all three championships. And again, as soon as this ended, I was like, well, I'll be darned. Here it is again. We had the discussions of what in the world is going on with James Storm and Impact Wrestling. It's kind of the same thing that we had. It's kind of the same discussion that we had with what in the world was going on with Eddie Edwards. He gets the title shot. We all saw where that's going, and now look at where James Storm is. Out of nowhere.
So tell me what you think about this, Dale. How does this parallel with what's happened with Dolph Ziggler over there in the WWE? How he was kind of floundering there for a while and jobbing out to Baron Corbin, and next thing we know, he's at featured in a World Heavyweight Title match against Dean Ambrose at SummerSlam. Kind of almost the same thing we're seeing here with James Storm.
Absolutely,
this guy literally has not done anything since he's came back, and we know that Bobby Roode leaving and them breaking up Beer Money, that definitely played a part in it. But I'm saying this guy literally has just been collecting a fat paycheck to drain beer. Now, who wouldn't want that job, right? I think me and you had the opportunity to sign up for that. We wouldn't a heartbeat. But I'm just saying that guy literally has not done much anything. He has not really had one memorable program besides the recent one he's had with Eli Drake. And then now all of a sudden, he literally has the opportunity to leave Bound for Glory with 3 titles. Does it happen for him, though?
Well, that's not at Bound for Glory. Isn't that next week?
Oh, you could have fooled me. I was thinking for some reason because it was such a big match, I thought that was coming up.
No.
For Glory, but yeah, you could be right.
No. It's like because these guys. Well, I don't know when the match is, but it will be before Bound for Glory because the winner will have all 3 championships, and Ethan Carter III is going to get the world title match at Bound for Glory.
You are correct, Dale. Yes, you are correct.
That's all right.
So, my bad on that one. Yeah. I had my Michael Cole moment. That was my Michael Cole moment for the week.
Ode to Michael Cole.
To at least one. Yeah.
And then obviously, another big thing that's going on in Impact is the bizarre nature of broken Matt Hardy and the obsolete Brother Nero.
Let me interrupt you for a second here. So let me say this. I'm going to kind of try to redeem myself here a little bit. We are going to get Lashley or Storm versus EC3. Is that what you were alluding to there? Is that what you said?
Yes.
That basically whoever's the champion?
Yes.
Okay, so whomever is the champion and the owner of the X Division, the TNA Heavyweight title, and also the King of Mountain title, yes, they will be facing off against Ethan Carter III at Bound for Glory, which is coming up October 2nd. So, yeah. Moving on.
Okay, so Bound for Glory is when?
Bound for Glory is October 2nd. That's actually going to be held at the Impact Zone, too, which is kind of surprising.
Wow.
Because they normally do Bound for Glory on the road.
So we still have all the way through September to go before Bound for Glory? Holy moly, Impact's got a lot to get through here.
Yeah, they've got a lot of ground to cover. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Still about almost 2 months away. Yeah, quite a build for that.
Alrighty. And speaking of the build of the Bazaar, we'll get back to it here with a broken Matt Hardy and the obsolete Brother Nero.
Oh, my goodness.
and the odd nature of Matt Hardy to go and pull a fan from the stands and bite him.
Bite his neck.
Yeah. What?
Like a vampire.
Again, I don't get it. It's like there are people that are just absolutely calling Matt Hardy a genius, so creative, and just absolutely praising the work he's doing in Impact Wrestling right now. I'm just completely stunned with what is going on. I don't get it.
Yeah. I don't either. Like I said, I don't know who is booking Impact right now. I don't know who the writers are. Like I said, if I did not know any better, I swore to you, I said this, that with that whole bizarre storyline we'll be getting to here in a second about Rosemary and Bram, I almost thought that maybe possibly Marilyn Manson was somehow involved because he's the one doing the theme song for The Decay. I'm just like, this stuff is just so bizarre, so dark, and just so out there. So think outside of the box weird. I mean, Matt Hardy, even his look, everything from his look to his mannerisms, he kind of looks like a cross between, like, I don't know, I would say almost Raven and maybe like Matt Hardy, kind of like version 1 from like his days from when he was back in WWE, because he kind of wore similar attire, I think. Didn't he wear kind of the same similar kind of pants and stuff like that?
Yeah,
he's Matt Hardy version 1.
He's always
but he kind of has the Raven look with like the hair and stuff and whatnot, and like the eye makeup and all that.
But yeah, I don't really again know what we're doing with Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy. I feel like at some point Jeff's gonna have enough of putting up with Matt, and we're gonna be down to their series of matches yet again. Where
and
I don't
time
know,
the matches are going to be even more bizarre. Are we going to get a Final Deletion Part 2 possibly?
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's like we were supposed to get a Final Deletion where Jeff Hardy wasn't supposed to exist, which technically to Matt Hardy he doesn't. He's Brother Nero, but he's still roaming around the Impact Zone and wrestling in matches. So
yeah, because of course now Jeff has to try to get his name back. Yeah, so. Since this is already like a bad enough B-movie action film, it's going to have a tagline. It's going to be like the Final Deletion Part 2. This time it's personal. Jeff wants his name back. Or something serious. I mean, something seriously silly like that. I don't know, TNA. I really don't know. Like I said, I give you guys credit for thinking outside the box, but some of this stuff, man, it's just absolutely bizarre.
And moving right forward with the bizarre is this relationship between Rosemary and Bram that all appeared to be just the setup to knock out Bram, put him in a trunk, and then have Crazy Steve and Abyss just drive off with him, with Rosemary and Bram in the trunk. I don't even.
I was wondering where the hell they were going with this, and I'm telling you, man. The whole time throughout what I'm watching this, I just say, yeah, this is like a bad horror film. This is like one of those horror films that you see like, on Netflix. You're just like, oh, this is featuring such and such. Oh, this is something I've never heard of before. I'm going to have to check this out. And you turn it on, you're just like, yeah, what was this crap that I just watched? I mean, I'm just like, come on, TNA. I actually thought they were going somewhere with the angle between Bram and Rosemary. I thought they were actually going to wind up pairing the two of them together and she was going to become more normal or whatnot. But I'm almost kind of beginning to think that they're going the opposite direction. I think he's going to become more like them. And I think the next time we see Bram, he's going to emerge and he's going to be wearing the face paint and he's going to be the new member of the Decay.
Okay. Yeah, I could that's not out of the realm of thinking.
Yeah. And maybe that's why he shaved his beard. Who knows? to make more room for the makeup that he's gonna wear or something, because it's just not really making a whole lot of sense. But yeah, that pretty much sums up our Impact discussion for this week. Definitely a lot of bizarre stuff and some good stuff in the ring going on over there in TNA Impact. Now this is the portion of the show where Dale and we go yay or nay, based upon several topics, from several different people involved in the world of professional wrestling. So Dale, our first topic here for yay or nay, the return of Jinder Mahal. What's your feelings on that, yay or nay?
I don't know. I'm kind of at the moment nay. I just have too much 3-man band of Jinder Mahal
stuck in your head.
in me right now, as opposed to when he first started and he was with Great Khali. It's like right now, I'm nay, but I can be easily persuaded. It'll be interesting. I will say it's nice to see a familiar face back in WWE, and maybe they can correct what they did wrong with him. Mm-hmm. But I'm just gonna go nay right now.
I'm going yay because I saw a lot of potential in Jinder Mahal, and I think it was the bad gimmicks that he got saddled by that really weighed him down. I did not like the fact that they used him in the managerial role with the Great Khali. The 3-man band was just silly, and I thought it was a waste of his talent. I thought that this guy actually, he's got the good look, he's got size, he's got a good physique. He was decent enough in the ring. I'm not saying that he's going to be, since he'll be over there in the Raw brand, possibly WWE Universal Championship material, but I think he definitely could, be featured in the upper mid card, if nothing else. I say just give it some time and give him some good storylines to work with. So, yeah, I go yay on that one. So, this is something that we just learned about earlier today, thanks to our boy Khalil Smith, always supplying us with good wrestling, good news and tidbits and information. So, we caught wind that, unfortunately, due to a torn rotator cuff, Shelton Benjamin returning to the WWE is not happening. What's your feelings on this, Dale? Yay or nay?
I am absolutely a nay on the fact that he's not returning. I wanted to. I was a yay for him coming back to WWE. Wanted to see him work again, and absolutely am kind of completely bummed by this news. And definitely. And I know that SmackDown Live is going to be hurt by the fact that he's not coming in. It's trying to see where they're going to go and trying to replace a guy that they were anticipating probably having a pretty good role. So, yeah, definitely it's a nay on the fact that he's not coming into WWE.
Big nay for me on this one. Me and you are on the same page because Shelton Benjamin is one of those guys. I saw a lot of potential in him. Another guy who was on the Raw roster, earlier on in his career, and then he wound up taking off and going over to Japan for a few years. I think he was over there in Noah, I believe, and he was actually using the name Shelton Etz Benjamin. I almost want to say I think he had something going on with the guy Vance Archer and also Davey Boy Smith Jr., I believe. He was kind of paired up with them there for a little while. But, yeah, this guy, you talk about someone who's just an athletic freak. I mean, he is probably the only other wrestler besides Kofi Kingston that just has some of the most amazing leaping skills I've ever seen in all of professional wrestling. Actually was a roommate, a close friend, and a former tag team partner of Brock Lesnar. When Brock first broke into the business, him and Brock were known as the Minnesota Stretching Crew. Kind of a play on the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. So Shelton has it all. He has he's got the look, he's got the size, the athleticism. He definitely has the amateur mat skills, and could also even throw a little bit of martial arts stuff in there. The biggest thing that held him back was he just couldn't connect with the crowd. He just didn't quite have the mic work to get himself over. I remember when they kind of gave him the whole golden standard gimmick when he came out with his hair dyed blonde like Natural Butch Reed, and then they had like the whole thing where he'd come out with his mama for a little bit. But yeah, Shelton, it's really a shame. It is really a damn shame to see this happening to him, and just such poor timing. So yeah, big nay on that one. So moving on to our next topic for yay or nay. So the Bound for Glory series versus the Bound for Glory playoffs. So which do you prefer here, Dale?
I want to see, after watching the Bound for Glory playoffs, which featured just 8 guys, I want to see Impact go back to the Bound for Glory series. I just liked it. It was a round robin. Everybody faced everybody. It was a point system that led up to a final set of matches to determine the number one contender for the Bound for Glory, or the number one contender at Bound for Glory. I just thought it kind of was a slow build to give you a number one contender, and you had more people in the mix, and it just made it just brought in more of an importance to every match on the show than you kind of get with the playoff, which for everybody else that isn't involved in the Bound for Glory playoff, if they're not in some type of storyline, really, their matches are kind of meh.
Yeah. My take on this one, yeah, for the Bound for Glory playoffs to work, I just think they need to be extended a little bit further because now that we know the exact date for when Bound for Glory is taking place, it's taking place on October 2nd. It's just like, yeah, I mean, it's just not really long enough for this thing to be effective. I think that was the great thing about the Bound for Glory series. It was, well-rounded enough. You had a good field of competitors, and it actually, carried on for a decent amount of time to stretch it almost up right until the time when the pay-per-view took place. So I'm not really sure exactly where Impact is going to go for this at this point for the Bound for Glory playoffs, since we pretty much know who the competitors are going to be and whatnot for the for the major titles. So yeah, in my opinion, I'm with you on this one. I got to go with the Bound for Glory series over the Bound for Glory playoffs. Moving on to the new gimmick for the man who stole my moniker, the hired gun, Tyrus, who is now going by the Fitzer. So the whole premise for this is, if you just lost your job and you want to get revenge on your boss, call the Fitzer. If your landlord's giving you trouble because you can't, pay your rent on time, call the Fitzer, that sort of thing. And it's like a 1-900 number. And supposedly Tyrus will be the guy who shows up and helps you fix your problems. What's your take on this, Dale? Yay or nay?
I am yay to the Fixer. It just definitely seems to be a role of a big badass type guy that maybe Tyrus can be. Back before he became the Funkasaurus in WWE, he was supposed to be the big bad bully type guy, and then he ended up getting pegged with the Funkasaurus role, which he knew wasn't going to last long. Now he's in Impact. He's been the bodyguard for so long, but I definitely think the Fixer name just has the title of somebody that you look for to kind of be that big, told, tough bully guy that you need to call to help obviously fix your problem. So I'm kind of yay for it to see if maybe he can actually get a proper character now.
Well, I'm glad that you like it, Dale, because I'm gonna go all the way nay here. My biggest problem is the fact that, like I said, once he became the Funkasaurus, some things you just absolutely cannot live down in your career. I think that was it. I will never, ever take this guy serious again. Okay? I just can't get past the dancing, the fact that he came out in the sweatsuit like he was the fourth member of the Fat Boys. The guy just has kind of a goofy look to him. He almost reminds me, like I said, if you remember the Nintendo game from back in the day, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Remember the dude King Hippo?
Yes.
Every time I see Brodus Clay or Tyrus or whatever they're called, that's who he reminds me of. The guy just has kind of a goofy appearance to him. I don't care if he's like 6'7", 400 pounds. He used to be Snoop Dogg's bodyguard. I don't care. The guy just does not strike 1 ounce of fear to me. If I had the opportunity to, I would go right up to him and tell him, dude, I don't appreciate the fact that you took my gimmick to hire a gun either. Nay.
All right.
Nay. No yay for that one. So, moving on here. My man Jay Lethal. His hairline was kind of running away from his forehead, as we already knew. And Adam Cole decided to give him a haircut. He's rocking the bald-headed look now. And actually, to be honest with you, I actually got to go yay with this one. I think it looks good on Jay. I think it was time for him to let it go because, like I said, some people, they just can't let go of their hair, man. They just let their receding hairline go back further and further and further, and they experiment with this new stuff that you sprinkle on your hair that kind of attaches to your hair follicles and makes it look like you have a fuller set of hair. So props to Jay Lethal for giving the co-sign on this and going forward with this angle and allowing Adam Cole to shave his locks because I think it looks good on him. What do you think, Dale?
I don't know. My instant first reaction to some of the photos post the promo pictures with it completely bald was nay. I didn't like the bald hair, so that's kind of where I'm sitting right now. I'll probably get used to it and it will all fit in, but right now it definitely just my instant first reaction was nay to Jay losing his hair.
Okay. Hey, fair enough. That's why we do yeah or nay. So moving on here. The Cabinet. Now, this is not the first time that this name has been used for a stable in professional wrestling. If we recall back in the day when JBL had his title run over there on the SmackDown brand, when he was playing the Wall Street millionaire or billionaire, whatever it was. He had, I want to say it was Orlando Jordan, and I think the Basham brothers. They were a part of his cabinet, if I recall correctly. But this cabinet consists of it's Kenny King, Rhett Titus, and Caprice Coleman. These guys are kind of an entertaining group here. But what's your feelings on this, Dale? Yay or nay?
You know what? I'm kind of yay. As I just I like the pairing. They definitely they mesh well together, and definitely seems like as part of the cabinet, we're going to they'll have a bigger impact on a Ring of Honor than when you just had Rhett and Kenny King as the All Night Express, and then obviously Caprice Coleman by himself. Is like together. I think in the three they'll be better, and it's like I'm kind of for it.
So you're gonna like my reason here. Caprice Coleman during the promo featured on ROH Wrestling this week used one of my favorite terms. He called someone a jive turkey, and for that reason alone, that he broke out one of my favorite slang words from even back in like the 1970s or so. I'm giving this angle a cosign. I like all three of the guys involved. I like the fact that they're coming out and interrupting matches and talking about making wrestling great again and all that. The whole entire thing is entertaining. Plus, it's giving an opportunity for my boy, the Mac, a.k.a. Keith McConico, who I used to work with at ESPN, who's an indie wrestler. He's been getting a lot of screen time with ROH because of this angle. He's been working security for him and whatnot. So, yeah, I definitely got to give a yay on this one.
Well, I just one quick thing as I just wanted to add that I noticed was kind of interesting. As they're in the mode of trying to make wrestling great again, obviously, and they're kind of in this presidential push, is like the cabinet, and opposed to WWE has the let's make Darren Young great again with the whole presidential aspect and the red, white, and blue. So it's just kind of interesting. It's like obviously that we're pegging off of two very similar storylines. Obviously, I'm more pro the cabinets aspect of trying to make wrestling great again, as opposed to Darren Young, who really hasn't been great at all.
And Titus O'Neil, he finally asked the question everyone's been saying: when were you ever great in the first place? So what is this whole thing about wanting to make Darren Young great again? He was never great at all in the first place. But anyhow, our last topic here, Mr. William Ospreay, one of the most dynamic aerial, how can I say it, technical wrestlers that I have seen probably in about the past decade. Some of the stuff that this guy can do is just flat out jaw-dropping. I mean, that match that he had against Ricochet not too long ago during the Best of Super Juniors 23 from this past summer, absolutely just jam-packed, non-stop action. Unreal match. I've seen some of the stuff that this guy can do over in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. Yay all the way. I just wish that he would actually make his way stateside at some point. I want to see him feature possibly in Lucha Underground or possibly in NXT. Yay without question. Dale, what's your take on this one?
Well, I'm gonna have to agree with you just because I have a limited knowledge base on him. And it pretty much is that match with the Ricochet at the Super Juniors match, which drew a lot of a debate in the wrestling world on whether or not that was actually a good performance or a bad one because of everything that they had put through it. It's definitely one of those that you're now kind of seeing the new generation, the new era of professional wrestling. A lot of the old school wrestlers did not like that match, but you know what?
Yeah, they thought it was a spot fest.
But we're working in this new era, which definitely has a high entertainment value. I found that match very entertaining, and definitely if anything else that he does is like that, then yeah, I'm yay for Will.
Yes. So that concludes our yay or nay segment. As you know, me and Dale, this is our thing. This is what we do. We could talk wrestling all night here, but unfortunately we have to wrap things up. Sometimes we agree with each other. Sometimes we don't. But that's the beauty of having a show like this. We each get to kind of give our takes and our opinions on things. So for those of you who have listened to our No Gimmicks podcast, we encourage you to keep on visiting our official YouTube page. Please subscribe to us. That's the best way to stay in the loop. Also, Follow us on Twitter at the No Gimmicks PC. Like our page on Facebook. Also, tune in to my LinkedIn account on Monday afternoons. Usually that's where I share our links and our updates. Also, please feel free to distribute our link to your family and friends and other pro wrestling fans. Until next week, this is Todd Smith out here in Bristol, Connecticut, and from my tag team partner, Dale Clifford, out there in Fernley, Nevada. Until next time around, y'all take care.